Kia ora, g'day, welcome back here with part two of the reaction to the Australian story, The Last Commando, around Mr. Cameron Baird, rest in peace, VC. So let's jump in.
Hello, I'm Quentin Bryce. Tonight's program concludes the story of the late Commando Cameron Baird. Earlier this year, I had the honour of awarding his posthumous Victoria Cross. Corporal Baird was killed in Afghanistan a year ago. Tonight's program starts with a short recap.
To be a commando, certain things are secret.
He goes, you know those little stickers they put on apples? I'm the guy that puts those on the apples.
I sort of envisaged him being the next sort of Wayne Carey.
His name was never called, and he was absolutely devastated.
How's your camouflage too?
There's no laughing and joking and smiling out there.
Luke Worsley, of course, was the first commando killed in action. He was with Cam Baird.
We made entry and there was a significant firefight within the compound.
He went in front of the team. He, threw grenades. He was firing his weapon. It was just amazing.
Going on a mission in war, there's nothing entertaining about that. Because it's not like TV, it's not a movie, this is for real. It's the ultimate things about life and death, and having to take somebody's life and risking your own life. They don't actually say they were killed or I killed. They'll talk about I cleared the room.
Sometimes they'd find euphemisms like I reduced him. I'd then understand that this soldier that I'm talking to who's having his breakfast had just been on a night mission where he killed an enemy in hand-to-hand combat.
Cameron certainly didn't take any great pleasure in the dirty aspects of the job. He didn't brag or skite or carry on about what he'd done. I can't comment and say whether or not he had trouble sleeping at night or, he was a professional soldier and he did what he had to do and he was very good at his job.
Grateful to be back here doing part two. Shout out to Christian Maver again for the kind reminder, mate. Yeah, the list, sometimes when I'm going through and then other things come up and I'm working my way through that list, I carry on from there. So I really appreciated the nudge and the reminder to not forget about part two. So we're here, but listening to the comments in that here, yeah, the people that I know as well, that have been involved in those times when they've needed to take the life of somebody else during combat. I can't, just like Cameron Baird's mate, can't speak to whether or not they sleep well at night, but they don't seem to have any issues. They don't, much like what this guy was saying, they don't talk about it or skite or brag about it, because it's not anything to brag about or skite about. Even here, the what's the name, the guys like the DJ Shipleys and that of the world, I think there's been interviews with people like Big Phil Campion, Anthony Middleton, other SF operators, even when you've heard Ben Robert Smith and that speak about the things that they've been involved in and needing to clear enemy bunkers and pits and things like that, which they've done. They're not, they're not bragging about it. They've been asked the question, and so they're talking through. And I think anybody that's been in those situations that has put rounds down range with the intent of taking the lives of those that you are fighting against, I personally, it's just part of the job. It's something that that you understand and expect is a high possibility that could come with the job when you're working in a unit like the Special Air Service. And yeah, I think if you're having issues, if there are people having issues, there are some great people out there that are willing to take the time, spend some time and help people out. But I think for the most part, at least people that I know of anyway, that have been right in amongst it, they seem like, when I've had chats with them, they seem like they sleep pretty well. Like they acknowledge and understand that it's not a glorious part of the job at all, but it is more often than not a necessary part of the job. And those that have engaged in combat with those that are trying to take their lives, it's either essentially kill or be killed, or us or them. And so you make a decision in those moments, and you go there and you fight for your life, and you fight for the life of your mates that you're with, and you do everything you can so that your mates and yourself can come back. That's my take on it anyway. That's my 2 cents. I don't speak for every SF operator, and I don't have the same level of face-to-face, never fought anybody, never had to fight anybody hand-to-hand combat, where the weapons, primary and secondary weapon, are out of rounds and all that sort of stuff. I never went into a bunker and cleared a gun pit or anything like that, So the contacts that I was in were firing from distance on the back of the vehicle as we assaulted forward. Those forces surrendered to us, so they put their weapons down. So, put the weapons down, we're not dropping anybody. Needed to give a few more warning shots to some people that were in the background, and we couldn't tell whether or not they had weapons or not because they kept their hands down by their side. So a warning shot in that vicinity with the gun quickly got them to put their hands up, which was good. But yeah, I sleep well at night. I've never had any issues, but again, I've not had the same up close and personal interaction as many other operators have. And so when I speak about the DJ Shipleys and the Ant Middletons and the Big Phil Campions, those guys, based on what I have heard or seen, they've been involved in that stuff. Even Mike Day, rest in peace to Mike Day, Medal of Honor recipient. I think he was Medal of Honor. Sorry if I got that wrong. But even he's not bragging about it. He's just recounting the events that took place. So yeah, lots to think about in there. Lots for people that have been right in the thick of it, like some of those people that I've mentioned. Lots for them to process. Definitely can't speak for them, but I hope that. I think I'd like to think that they sleep well, knowing that they've done the right thing, that they've acted with honor during that process. And people will say what they like. Hey, there is no honor in war, etc., etc. Hey, everybody, opinions are like noses. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Everybody's got one. So anyway, let's jump back into here for Mr. Cameron Baird, Part 2, VC. May you rest in peace.
When you've worked in a highly close-knit team as they have, often for months and years, the impact can be truly profound when they see a friend or a colleague killed or injured in action.
When Luke Worsley was killed, it was a very big deal for the unit. Bravo Company lost its first bloke. It was a pivotal moment for Cameron as well.
Luke's death was very hard for Cameron. It was an awful situation for him. To see a fellow soldier and someone who he was friends with, dying in battle. I remember him saying to me, if I'm finding it hard, how's the family going?
Yes, come November, 7 years.
Doesn't get any easier. Cameron came to us for each anniversary, and they all miss him.
And he'd stay back and spend time with us after the other boys left, and we just felt kind of at ease with Cameron.
You need to ask these questions, and he was willing to answer them.
Cameron actually won the Medal for Gallantry, which is the third highest award for bravery for his actions on that particular night that Luke was killed. Initially, Cameron refused it on the ground that he believed that that particular day that he was doing just what any other soldier would have done.
He was talked into it from his friends and everything. So when Cameron finally said, I'm going to accept the award, he said, I'm only going to accept it if it's accepted for all of us.
Courage. What is courage? Courage is the wives and mothers and partners who stay at home and maintain a degree of normality day in, day out, hoping and praying that somebody like me will never knock on their door.
Cameron had been in a relationship, a long-term relationship. He was actually married.
They'd met when they were like 18, I think Cameron was, and she was a lovely lady and one who we certainly respect.
As far as we understand, everything was pretty good. Cameron unfortunately spent time away, whether it be on deployment, whether it be on courses. And I think probably overall, from what we understand, is that we had two professional people that were going in slightly different directions, and they agreed to split and have a divorce.
So where are you, bro? What's the name of this island? Water?
Don't know.
It was a big part of his life, but that part of his life was over and he'd moved on. And he was happy where he was in his life.
That's cool to hear. You know, he was happy in his life. Sounds like she was likely happy too. Like that, as sad as it is, you know, relationships do end sometimes, regardless of whether you're in the Defence Force or not, eh? So that must be tough though. Like from the 18 together, I'm not sure how long they were married for, but I'm just glad by the sounds of things. It sounds like the separation, the divorce, went smooth enough, if there's such a thing.
We actually met on eHarmony and exchanged a couple of messages, and Cameron was very forward and direct, which is the kind of person he is. He, immediately told me about, his just getting out of an 11-year relationship. It was just, I hate to say like love at first sight, but it really was from that first night. Just the way you just seemed to love life. Every day we were together, I would think to myself, I am so lucky. There was honestly just no faults other than the dangerous job.
Cameron did 4 tours of Afghanistan. Each one lasted probably about 5 months.
From our understanding, we thought that this may well be Cameron's last major deployment over there because, things were coming to a bit of an end with this particular war, so Cameron was looking forward to it.
I think it would be a wrongdoing for us to walk away halfway through the operation. I think it would be very un-Australian not to finish a job that you started.
I'd speak to him and go, oh, how are things going? Yeah, no, everything's pretty quiet at the moment. Looking back, I think it was just so close to him coming home.
The job was to target the insurgent network within the Cod Valley.
Just as I watch this and a few thoughts just flash into my head right now about Luke Worsley's parents, I think they were, and just the impact and Cameron's words. I think they said on here, Cameron was saying if he's feeling it, imagine how badly or how much more the family's feeling it. Powerful statement. I don't know why I didn't talk about that earlier. I think I was just trying to let the videos play a little bit more and trying to not interject as much, given that I think I waffled for quite a bit at the start. But huge, eh? Just having those words come back in now as I'm looking at this, and then I think that thought was just triggered again by his mum, by Cameron's mum, saying that it was just so close to coming home. I think that's what triggered it. But yeah, just the impact is more than not just your brothers or the people that you serve with, but your family, their friends, and whoever else that extends to, you know, people that Cameron would have touched or that he played AFL with, that he went to school with. No doubt his ex-wife, you know, would have, I think anyway, it's just would have a real lasting effect and impact on people from all walks of life. You know, just the type of person that Cameron was. Made me smile, laugh, seeing him dance there at wherever it was that they were. Not sure if he would have been happy with his mates having that recording, but that's just part of the Australian way, pulling the PISS out of each other and looking to one up one another. No doubt it was all done and taken in really good spirit and good fun. And he'd probably be upset if he saw this video, telling the guys who bloody gave them that video to put on this video about him. But anyway, let's get back into this.
As for the day Cameron was killed, it was different to a lot of other jobs we'd been on. Towards the end of the trip, obviously, you know, we're all going home soon. One of our tasks was to push up to this river here and to clear down, clearing out any possible enemy locations.
The compounds ran all the way along the river. This day, we're up really, really early in the morning. We move out towards the choppers, and then the choppers left about an hour before dawn.
We were given intelligence that the Taliban had reclaimed a valley to the northwest of Uruzgan.
The local police checkpoints in the area had been overrun by Taliban, resulting in multiple police being murdered. The job was to remove that threat group from that valley. We knew would be in a gunfight.
The choppers landed in the Cod Valley at about dawn on the 22nd of June.
As usual, Cam was first off the back of the helicopter, just running. You know, everyone else struggling to keep up with him. Couldn't hold him back.
As soon as we get off the helicopters, we were engaged by enemy. And according to the plan we had, Cam was to isolate the area closest to the river and the greenbelt, and my team was to clear all the compounds.
Stay there. Sammy, push left, push left. Sammy, push left.
There was enemy everywhere. There was gunfire going on, rounds, you know, flying around everywhere.
No. There's movement from right to left.
Our team continued through the fields, and Benny's team started moving into the built-up area. We heard gunfire from that direction, and it came across the radio as well that Benny's team was coming under fire.
And we weren't going to let them fight that battle alone, and Cam decided that we needed to go assist them.
Moving through, we were engaged at close range by numerous enemy, and I sustained a gunshot wound to the leg. I shattered my femur and received another one in the chest plate, so which stopped that round penetrating my body. So I was classed as a category K injury, so life or limb is in danger if you don't get medical treatment within the hour.
As Cameron's team was rushing to support Ben, his team was ambushed from multiple locations. Heavy fighting ensued.
Towards the left? Yeah.
We ended up closing in on a compound. We manoeuvred around, and we had this enemy enclosed in.
They had almost the perfect setup. They had a well-defended, well-barricaded room. It was a very heavily fortified, heavily armed position with only one entrance.
Cameron had three options available to him that day. He could have called in an airstrike, but there were too many women and children in the area. He could have chosen to bypass the enemy position, but had he turned his back on enemy who wanted to kill him, they most likely would have. or the third option was to engage in close combat and neutralise those enemy before moving on to support the casualty. That was the only option available to him on the day.
We needed to get to the enemy, and the only avenue of approach was through the area that they were defending. And on approach, we were met with heavy machine gun and heavy AK fire every single time, and it was well aimed. There was, at no point was there a break. There was no, the bits of building were falling off around us.
We threw a number of fragmentation grenades in the room, and we'd wait a while for the dust to settle down, and then we could go in and clear it. However, just as the dust began to settle, more enemy machine gun fire would come out of this room. We couldn't really believe that there was still enemy fire coming out after the fire and the grenades that we'd put in there. Cam, he would have absolutely known how dire the situation was. We had Cam's team engaged in fierce fighting with a large number of enemy, only metres apart from each other, exchanging machine gun fire and grenades. That team was also running low on ammunition, having been fighting all morning. Further, we had enemy reinforcements coming from the north. Cam intuitively knew that decisive action was required. As the team commander, as a leader on the ground, he would decide to expose himself to that and to deal with that threat before asking his soldiers to do it. He knew exactly what he was doing.
I saw Cam charging the door. Just charged it, weapon up in his shoulder. I knew Cam was on his own, and I followed up behind Cameron. We made maybe about close to a metre to the doorway, and once more the machine gun started firing at us from all positions, and we were forced to tactically withdraw to cover. At that point, we knew we were in a bit of trouble. We didn't know how many enemy were in that compound. For a second time, bravely, Cam just charged the door again, weapon up, firing into the room. Cam had a stoppage on his M4, and I covered his move back. At this point, being low on ammunition, something drastically had to happen.
The third time, he made it across the doorway. And from there, that was our point, that was our foothold into moving into the enemy stronghold. From there, he effectively neutralised one of the enemy within the stronghold, but in doing so, in getting that foothold for us, he gave up his life.
Man, can hear the emotion, there's a humbling for me to sit, listen, and just absorb all of this stuff that his teammates are speaking about. The recount of what they're seeing. 3 attempts, third attempt, going in, charging that entrance, weapon up, got backed up the first time. I'm sure he got backed up the second time in that as well, and probably likely even the third time. But each time, first person in, looking to just get that foothold in that space where they are. Situation's looking pretty dire. Cameron knowing exactly what it is that he's doing, what he needs to do, and also what he wants to do. What I'm hearing, when the choppers land, he's the first one off, his first boots on the ground. And no doubt, if he was there to withdraw, he would have made sure that he was the last person on the chopper to leave. They're stuck in this situation where they are right now. He's the team commander. There's just no way, from the way that they've spoken about him and through his actions and what they're talking about here, that he's going to ask any of them to charge that place first or to go in, that he's going to go in first. And he's tried once, had to tactically withdraw, tried twice, had a stoppage, needed to withdraw, sorted himself out, sorted his weapon out, and then going in again. Manages to neutralise one of the threats in there, and then gains that foothold for his team, which they desperately needed. Unreal, man. I'm just sitting here thinking about mindset, the courage that this guy, Cameron Baird VC, rest in peace, had to be looking to charge a place like that, a fortified position, which is clearly working well for them. I mean, they're launching everything in there, grenades, small arms fire into the vicinity or into the places where they think that the fire's coming from back towards them. And it's not having the impact that they would have expected or that they thought, not until Cam risks it all and ultimately gives it all to be able to get them that position. So just, man, there's our time. Still got time. I'm going to let this play for a bit longer. But a very sobering and somber, for me anyway, moment, but also like listening to these guys share what Cameron Baird did. And this guy's voice, you can hear it. You can probably see it, but I can definitely see, hear, and feel anyway when this guy's speaking. Just what Cameron Baird meant to him individually, and no doubt what he means and what he meant to all of his brothers in the unit.
One of our guys noticed something as the dust was clearing, and he said to me, "Who's down?" I said, "What do you mean, who's down?" He said, "There's someone there." And as the dust was clearing, we could just see this his boots and these legs sticking out. Doing a quick check around, we realised it was Cam. At this stage, we weren't sure that he was dead, but we know we just couldn't leave him there.
Private Ann bravely saw that, he had an opening in the door and that he could post his last grenade into that doorway. Complete disregard for his own safety. He charged that door and he posted a grenade right in the doorway. As soon as that grenade went off, there was just dust everywhere. I couldn't see. I ran in, engaged in the doorway with my M4. I bent down, grabbed Beardy's arm, and dragged him out as best as I could. I could see straight away that he'd been shot through the cheek and through the chest. There was still a gunfight, going on. I started taking Cam's ammo and divided that back into the team. So I closed Cam's eyes and cleaned his face up a little bit with a bottle of water, and I took my face recon wrap off and I covered his face up, and then we started preparing him to move him.
The very moment that I was informed of Cam's death on the radio will forever stay in my mind. That moment that Cam was killed was not the moment to grieve for Cam, because the job still needed to be completed.
And luckily, the rest of our teams in our platoon coming up to back us up, because we were in a fairly bad situation.
He'd neutralised the enemy within there, not all of them, but he had neutralised the enemy, so the process started to finish the fight, which we could and would never walk away from. We were lucky to have someone like him there to lead that fight, or it could have gone much, much worse.
There ended up being 6 enemy fighters inside this small building. And they were all armed to the teeth, AK-47s, PKM machine guns, rocket launchers.
That day was one of the most tragic experiences that I've lived through, but equally it was one of the most profound experiences. When Ben was hit, what I observed was a whole bunch of Australians moved to the sound of gunfire to help their wounded mate. During that time, Cameron was killed. He was moving to the support of an injured mate. Had Cameron not taken that action that day, I'm almost certain that we would have sustained further casualties.
I'm going to pause this one here to finish off the second part later. But massive love and respect to Cameron Baird VC, to his family, to his brothers, that he served alongside, fought alongside, and ultimately died alongside, with and for them. Unreal, man. Don't really have the words other than just gratitude, appreciation, respect. Yeah, I'll come back for the part 2 wrap up of this second part, Australian story, The Last Commando of Cameron Baird VC. Appreciate you all. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your input, your comments, your thoughts, your experiences. Yeah, really appreciate anything that you look to give to this channel. Yeah. As always, anybody going through any challenges, trials, difficulties, heartache, hardship, all I can do is just keep encouraging you, eh? Just keep turning up, keep staying in the fight, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just know that you're not alone. Know that the sun will shine again. Know that better days are coming for you. Know that there is a light at the end of that tunnel, as long and as dark and as miserable as that may seem. So as always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all.